Was a probably the world's most famous samurai, and he was reputed never to have lost a battle. And although that there's some dispute whether he possibly lost one battle, I would tend to believe the legend that he never lost a battle because back in the day, in the old school days, samurai would never draw his sword unless it was to kill. So anytime Musashi drew his sword, it was a battle of life and death. And since he lived, I would tend to believe that he won all his battles. Um, Now, I'm talking about this book because as a martial artist myself, this is a great book that I've read about the martial arts. In fact, one of my friends that I trained with in martial arts, Eric, said this was the only book he's ever read in his life. I find that hard to believe because I'm a pretty avid reader and I read a lot of books. But um, this book is a great book because I found that a lot of martial arts texts can basically translate into other aspects of life. Now, Musashi said the path to truth is littered with the bodies of the ignorant. So I think that's a great quote because basically, that in our fight against the criminal banking industry today, um, there's a lot of ignorance and propaganda that's being disseminated out there by the bankers. And so our path to truth will also be littered with the bodies of the ignorant. And because a lot of martial arts, there's a high spiritual component. There's a component about truth and the meaning of life. A lot of this can be analogous, and we can use this in our fight. I mean, you're not going to take it literally because we're not going to be slaying people like in the old days, like samurai would actually kill people. We're not talking about killing bankers or anything per se, but it is analogous and it can serve as a good analogy. So there's certain excerpts of this book I like to read. So let's start with the Book of Fire. Musashi said, if one man can beat 10, then 1,000 men can beat 10,000. Now, you can't bring thousands of people together for daily practice, but you can come to the enlightenment of strategy by studying the people you face daily. For the most part, people are all the same. Armies of thousands follow the orders of a very few or of only one. Thus, you are facing only one mind. And this is, the same in our fight against bankers. They all follow what the commercial bankers follow the central bankers, and then the rest of the worker bees follow the CEOs of the commercial bankers. So Musashi said, in order to beat them, control your followers the same way. See them as extensions of your arms and legs and command them accordingly. This is why fighting one-on-one is the same as armies fighting armies. Understand the leader's strategy, his strengths and weaknesses, and you will know the strategy, strengths, and weaknesses of the 10,000 troops who follow him. So in studying our enemy, we follow the strategies of their leader, like Ben Bernanke and the CEOs of these commercial banks, and we will know how to defeat the whole industry in general. Musashi went on to say that, you must polish your understanding in the light of truth. Truth is not what you want it to be, which is very important. It is what it is, and you must bend to its power or live a lie. Free your mind from ego and thought. The time for thinking is when you are learning. Once you are enlightened, you act. You do not ponder endless scenarios. Develop your own intuition and trust your spirit. Once you attain this level, you will be in line with heaven, and supernatural power will assist you to accomplish miracles. You must believe this. So again, this is just talking about faith and confidence, and once you understand the truth, then Musashi is basically saying the same as a lot of other spiritual leaders, that the truth will set you free. Now, another reason this book is important, because any book about strategy is important, because those who are our opponents have been doing this for decades, if not centuries. So, as you read the Book of Five Rings by Musashi, you'll actually probably see a lot of these strategies that have been used against us by the bankers. So it's important to recognize actually the tactics that are also being used against us, as well as to learn them so you can use them to fight back. Now, this is pretty interesting because in the Book of Fire, Musashi has a section called Understanding Collapse, which can be analogous to the ongoing global financial collapse and the collapse of our monetary system right now. He wrote, everything you know in life has one inevitable end. Everything will collapse. Houses collapse, structures collapse, societies collapse, and even your opponent will collapse. Everything collapses when it's out of time. He says it's important to chase the opponent down when he has broken his timing so as to take the advantage. If you do not take advantage of the opponent's misstep, he may recover and kill you. In one-on-one combat, there are times when the opponent's timing will be out of sync and his momentum will start to collapse. It is vitally important to follow up on any little mistake that your opponent makes to keep him from regaining the advantage. Never underestimate the ability of your opponent to recover. So you must watch carefully for the opponent's misstep and charge him when you see and take his life. This is the time to strike when the opportunity presents itself. So this is the problem that those of us that are involved in this battle against the bankers have not yet learned. When silver hit 50, that was the time to strike. But instead, we backed off. We gave the bankers time to recover. They upped the initial maintenance margins in the futures market 5 times in 9 days, and then drove silver all the way back down to nearly half its price. So, and instead, when we had the opening, when the bankers were cornered, everyone should have gone into physical and drove the price of silver sky high. JP Morgan would have been out of business. Other banks would have collapsed. And then if we took the initiative to attack when they were weak and then when they were cornered, but instead we gave them time to recover and they recovered. So these are very important lessons to learn, because bankers, Musashi also talks about fear, how fear can be used to make opponents weak, and bankers certainly do that. They will always tell us, oh, nobody but bankers can solve this problem. He said, they'll tell the common people that you do not need to be involved in the process of figuring out what's wrong with the economy because you don't understand it. So only economists should be involved in this discussion. We've had economists say that. They said no one else has a right to be in this discussion. So they want to keep people out of the discussion because they don't want people to understand their weaknesses when they're weak, and perpetuating the fraud when they can be attacked. So these are the important lessons to learn from this book. So, whether you're into martial arts or not, if you are into martial arts, I guarantee you this book will make you a better martial artist. If you're not into martial arts, it doesn't matter. This book will make you better strategy as far as being successful in life. And if you want to leave this world a better place, it will also teach us the strategies we need to conquer the bankers, because they can be defeated. Their spirit right now, I would say, is actually stronger only momentarily because they believe they are the hawks and we are the pheasants. Because they have made that clear in their comments time and time again. The Rockefellers have made that clear, that they believe we should not have a hand in any decision, because they believe that as far as any global policy is concerned, that they are the ones that know where global policy should go and no one else should have a say. So until we flip that and reverse that mindset where we become the hawks and we think of the fraudulent ones as the pheasants, and our spirit becomes stronger collectively. Certainly it can be, because there's 6.8 billion of us against a few hundred or a few thousand of them. So read that book, highly recommend it, and that's all for today. Until next time, thanks for watching. Have a great day as always.